Hey everyone, here in the Thriving Marriage. How are you all doing today? I hope everyone's doing great. Mark, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Heather?
I'm fantastic. Today is my daughter's sixth birthday. I know a lot of you parents out there, so you understand how fun it is, but kind of how crazy it gets, right? So we just went shopping and are putting together all the birthday stuff. So really fun stuff going on over here, but we're really excited to have a quick minute here to talk about a really important issue that we feel like we want to address to the entire group. So Mark, do you want to go ahead and just right off the bat, let us know what we're talking about today?
So yeah, what I've been seeing in the group is been seeing that some of you have been considering the option of separating or divorce, or I've even heard from some of you that your spouse has actually been threatening that idea. And we really wanted to address this because, the whole point of the group is to improve your marriage or to save the marriage. And we really wanted to stress how, I don't know, that this really isn't a great option. Pretty much the only reason that separating or becoming divorced would really even be considered, in my mind, is because the alternative to staying together, it seems to be looking better and better. And so we wanted to kind of give you some facts, some thoughts about what the real cost of divorce is, just to kind of bring that value of the alternative down a little bit. So
Yeah. Hold on, Mark,
yeah.
real quick. Sorry. I just want to interject here. We want to talk about who this is for and who this is not for. So who this is not for, the only time like we really feel like divorce is a good option is in cases of abuse. And a lot of people use this, however, but really only 20% of marriages that end in divorce have to do with anything of abuse, okay? So if there's any kind of abuse going on, we're not speaking to you. Okay, just wanted you to know that. If you're in an abuse situation, then you need to look at your other options. So just to be really clear about that right off the bat. So the other 80% where abuse is not going on, this is for you. So go for it, Mark.
No, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because yes, we don't want to advocate people staying together in that sort of situation where they're going to be hurt.
Indeed.
Okay, so we're going to go down on just some thoughts. So I thought I'd kind of break this down into different categories. So starting off with women, like what does divorce really cost women? Now I'm going to start with money, but money is obviously not the most important issue here. But when I was looking up some of the research, this quote kind of stood out to me, and it said that all women face significant economic vulnerability outside of marriage, and that sounded a little shocking to me, but especially in these days with dual earner incomes. But the fact is, most of the time, women gain custody of the children,
Exactly.
and there's that extra economic hardship. You're looking at a lowered standard of living for you and your children. You're having to split the assets up. You're not having the extra income from your spouse there. And so even if you are working yourself, there is a lot of economic hardship that comes from divorce. The majority of cases, divorced mothers are not receiving child support.
Yeah, it's like 65%
Yep.
of divorced women do not receive any child support. And I'm sure you know stories of that personally, Mark. I know people in the group know stories of that. I know stories of that. Like you think that the husband's going to provide or the father's going to provide, but tragically it doesn't always happen. So, yeah.
And I had to learn about this recently, but even in issues where they're supposed to be paying child support, it's really difficult for courts to enforce that.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving on, speaking of you and your children, like I said, women typically do get custody, but despite what, 90s television has taught us, being a single mother is not very glamorous. It's more stressful, it's time consuming, and it often leaves you with little extra time for yourself or to, devote that attention to your kids. And so these children end up being a little bit starved for that parental attention. Beyond that, women tend to be more prone to anxiety, depression, and other mental health disorders following divorce. And the effects of this thing seem from all the studies that I read, it seems to continue even after 10 years after the divorce. These emotional issues don't just go away. And there are plenty of costs for men as well. You know, it used to be where it was kind of perceived that men got the better end of the deal in divorce, and it's kind of not going that way as much anymore. Typically, we don't always look at all the emotional issues with men because men don't like to talk about their emotions. But yes, even men take an emotional hit after divorce, and they are, many are reporting depression, increased anger, increased jealousy, suicidal thoughts, and once again, they don't seem to recover even 10 years after the divorce. There's still these emotional scars, emotional issues going on. With money, whereas I did say that, child support isn't happening in a lot of cases, it does still happen. There's also divided assets. You're losing your home. You might be losing vehicles. You might be losing some of your paycheck. There's alimony. There's legal fees. But, in my mind, the biggest cost for men is the cost of fatherhood. Like I said, women typically get the majority of the custody for children. And most men report a diminished role as a father in their children's lives. And yes, let's face it, you're probably looking at every other weekend for visiting.
Right. And actually a lot of the statistic is, according to the U.S. Lawyers Association, whatever that was, that 43% of children are being raised without their fathers entirely. 43% of the children in the United States have no father figure whatsoever. And a lot of that is due to divorce. Yeah.
Now, I don't know about any of you listening, but if that was me, I would personally feel like I wasn't really much of a father anymore. I have 4 kids myself, and if I was seeing them even every other weekend, even if it was more frequently than that, I don't think I could really feel that closeness with my children quite as much anymore. And that's really how it is. Most men, like I said, report a diminished feeling of worth as a father. Mm-hmm. Let's face it, you've put all this time and energy and money into the relationship, investing yourself as a father, as a husband, and suddenly that identity is gone. And, I can't speak for everyone. I don't know how all of you are feeling, but if me personally, if I was suddenly no longer a husband or a father, then I would have a real hard time really figuring out who I was anymore. That identity is suddenly stripped away. And that can go on and on. There's health issues from shortened lifespan. There's, I could go into more detail about more emotional issues and all these other things, but it's just overall not a good idea. Just in general, the average cost of divorce, we looked it up, it's about $17,000 when you have legal fees and all the court issues. If there's custody issues, that's increasing it. But when it's all said and done, it's expensive.
Yeah, $17,000. And that doesn't matter if you are low income, high income. If your high income, it actually goes up, but that's low income, medium income. That's about the average. You usually don't get out of a divorce without putting down $17,000. That's pretty heavy. That's not what we want for you guys.
And we talked about the cost for the husband and wife, but it affects the kids as well. Now, I've had personal friends, I've had family members that have gone through divorce. And I hope if they're watching, they don't feel offended, but I've seen the struggle that their children go through. I know that the children end up going through therapy, and I can't help but think that possibly part of this is from the divorce. And when we look at it, when we look at the numbers, that the children with divorced parents, I have the stat here. It says that they're 14% more likely to also go through divorce, and that's already there's a high chance of divorce in this country, but this is going to add up on top of that.
Right. It's also more likely for them to go to rehab and to have emotional issues, like Mark mentioned, having to go to therapy. and then also to end up in jail. The statistics they don't lie, right? The studies have been going on, conducted for many, many years now. And they're showing just an increase of breakdown in the family, breakdown in individuals' lives.
Now, this is just anecdotal evidence, but I used to work at this, it was a therapeutic boarding school. There'd be boys there who were getting in trouble with the law and had some sort of mental health diagnosis. And I can't tell you how many exactly, but the majority of them were coming from homes with divorced parents. So these were kids that were getting into all sorts of trouble. They needed mental health, and their problems were so extreme that they had to be sent to this boarding school to receive help. They had to be sent away from the home. I'm not saying that this is everyone's fate, all children's fate, but that's what I saw there when I was at that rehab school, essentially.
Yeah. Now, Mark, I want to touch on something here, because we talked about the long-term effect that these people are dealing with these issues like for 10 years on average. And I think that this plays to a really important distinction, that we live in an age where we want the quick fix, right? And I think that people often feel like a divorce is a quick fix, that they're just going to get out of this relationship because it's not working. And I understand there's going to be the real issues in your lives, and you guys have expressed many of them to us, and they aren't good, and you shouldn't stay there, right? But divorce is not this quick fix, right? You think that, okay, I'm just going to end this relationship and I'll put it behind me and I'll move on. But the reality is quite the opposite. The reality is it's going to stay with you for years and years and years into your life. There are no quick fixes when it comes to this kind of thing.
Actually, I want to make a point that the quick fix, ironically enough, is fixing the marriage. From what I've read, what I've seen, most couples, when they express that their marriage is on the rocks, that they're unhappy with their marriage, you look at them 5 years down the line. If they haven't divorced, most of them have fixed their problems. They report being happy. So the quick fix, the quicker fix, is fixing your marriage. So like Heather was saying, the problems don't go away. You're likely in this situation because there hasn't been certain skills that have been learned, and this lack of skills transfers on to subsequent relationships. And there's a humongous increase in the rate of divorce in those second marriages, those third marriages, and so on. So, did you have anything else that you wanted to add, Heather? Otherwise,
throw a question here. If I can see some of you watching. So hi, thanks for watching live. And if you're watching the replay, I just wanted to say, do you see how divorce is not a good option in most cases, right? Going back to the beginning, we're not talking about abuse, but in most cases, it really is not a good option. So if you agree with that, if you can see what we're, explaining here, go ahead and leave a comment. I can see comments live. So if you want to leave a comment, or if you're in the replay, do you see how divorce is not really a good option? Go ahead and let us know if we are reaching you guys with that.
Now, we want so badly to take away all the pain that you guys have been talking about in the group, because I've been seeing an awful lot of hurt, anger, mistrust, loss of connection. You guys are not enjoying your relationships right now, and that's why you're here. We want to be able to help with that, and we want to understand how your current relationship is not meeting your needs. So we actually have something really big planned for next week, but we want to be able to use what we have planned and address the specific issues that you guys have. So what we're trying to do is we'd like you to share with us what your one biggest concern is in your relationship right now, and we will try to address this and what we are going to be announcing over the weekend, and what we're going to be doing in the subsequent week. So please, please comment, or I'll let you go. No, I'm done.
We have the two on. Sorry. Natasha just commented. She said, yes, it's the last thing I want to do. I just saw my best friend go through it, and what their kids go through, it's awful. Yeah, very good. Thank you for sharing, Natasha. Yeah, absolutely. So with that, however, we don't want you to feel stuck, right? If divorce is not a good option, but where you're at feels miserable, then we need to do something about it. And the thing is that the problems that you guys have mentioned to us, the lack of trust, the lack of connection, the lack of passion, the lack of intimacy, the lack of good communication, these are all issues that are not going to go away simply on their own, right? And you don't need to live in those anymore. You don't need to live in that kind of pain anymore. And here Melissa said, the biggest challenge is infidelity and respect. Beautiful. I'm really glad that you shared that, Melissa. A lot of you are struggling with that. So many cases, there's been infidelity on either your part or the part of your spouse. And now you're wondering, what do we do? Where do we go from here? Right. And so I would challenge you, and we have seen this, Mark and I, time and time again, that an infidelity is a symptom of a bigger problem. It is not the problem itself. Okay. The issues that have been going leading up to the infidelity have been happening for a long time. And the act of the infidelity is a symptom of the bigger problem. And just like all of those other things we just talked about, those are symptoms of bigger problems. So what we need to do is get to the root of what those real problems are. And once you can uncover what's actually going on under the surface, then you can change that. You can fix the root. And when you fix the root, when you fix the inside, everything on the outside is going to change as well. And it's going to become the marriage that you really want it to be. Okay. So yeah, go ahead and send us some more shout outs. Let us know in the comments what your biggest challenges are. And then let's get to the root of these. And let's not allow them to continue to plague you guys anymore.
Yeah, we'll address these next week. So yeah, please let us know how we can help.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is our challenge to you guys, is let us know what your challenges are. And I know many of you have been reaching out and doing that, and we're grateful for that. We see that there is a good amount of suffering. That's not what we want, but we are grateful that you're letting us know and being open and vulnerable so that you can actually get the help that you need. So that's really important. There are a lot of new people in this group. This group is exploding. It's growing daily, and I'm really grateful for that. Again, if you have any other friends or family that you feel like could benefit from this group, go ahead and invite them to join us. We are open to helping as many people as we possibly can. And as I'm saying this, and you are new to the group, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know who you are. Let us know what your challenges might be. We don't want to feel like anyone's being left out or kind of pushed to the sidelines with this. We really want to help everyone as impactful way as possible. So the best way to do that is to reach out to us. So awesome. Mark, is there any final thoughts that you have for us on this?
I think we've touched all the points that we needed to, so I think I'm good.
Yeah, awesome. Well, the cost of divorce is real, and but the cost of living unhappy isn't a great option either, right? So we want to get you guys happy. We want to get your marriages thriving and the way that you would ideally like them to be. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for joining us today. And thank you, Mark, for offering us some great insights as always. And if you guys have any problems or questions, feel free to reach out to us at any time. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.